Today I will explain why W210 and W211 are great cars, also common problems, driving experience and which one to buy in our modern world. In 1995, W210 was introduced to general public. Radical design shocked everybody. It was not easy to approve such wild look. Designers worked from 1988 till 1991 on W210. And what they made is a car that cemented its position in everybody's head as Mercedes. If you will debadge W124, W210, W11, W212, W213, and ask a random person that doesn't know anything about cars to show which one is the Mercedes, that random person will 100% point out W210. This is how legendary design of W210 represents itself today. It was most aerodynamically efficient car in the world when it came out. It had drag efficiency of 1.27. And it had many cool different features. Interior was made from a real leather and wood. Also, inside of the interior was as big as W126. New features were parking sensors that were located in many interesting places inside of W210, ABS, rain sensors, side airbags. 85% of the car was recyclable, so it was very good to environment. Sunroof didn't make any noise when you open it. It had adaptive dampings, electronic stability control, heated washer nozzles, that was a very rare thing back in the day, climate control, heated, ventilated and massage seats, optional GPS, traction control system. W210 had billions different features. Also, W210 had 3 default trims, so classic, it was like, okay. It had manual transmission, nothing special. Elegance, we had more features and car felt a little bit luxurious. And avant-garde. Avant-garde was like, the best place to be in. My favorite, of course, is the avant-garde trim. It had great wood trim, it had leather seats, armrest, slight blue factory tint on all of the windows, and a better airflow for the back passengers, and many different other features. What I love about W210 that it was not complicated to repair as W211. My grandfather used to say that my hands grew from my butt, and I had ass hands. It is a Russian saying, when a person cannot do properly any manual labor with his hands. And my grandfather was absolutely right. I still have these ass hands that I cannot fix or do anything with them. And even me with my hands, I can fix stuff on W210 just watching YouTube videos. Everything is very simple and logical. In the interior and under the hood, everything makes sense. It's very user-friendly. In 1999, W210 had refreshed its legendary E-Class, and I prefer more refreshed version than the pre-facelift version. Some say that not much changed and car looked basically the same, and they are very wrong. 1,800 different features were changed on refreshed version. It was 2 cm lower, had lower hood, front was even more aerodynamic, and it was a little bit different than the previous version. It actually had 9 LED lights in the mirror in 1999. Some materials that were used were the same as in S-Class, and also it had S-Class steering wheel and even voice command. Now it had window airbags and even optional rear airbags. For me it's a very different car from the pre-facelift version. Biggest problems of W210 was corrosion. It happened because of a new water-based paint that they used in W210 at the beginning, but then they changed it. Corrosion was everywhere, door, roof, wheel arches, like everywhere on W210. And that was the biggest problem. Mechanically speaking, this car is 20-year-old plus, so if you find in perfect condition, it still will ride great and it will go forever. If you find W210 without rust, you're the luckiest man in the world. It will outlive you and your entire family and bloodline, if you maintain it properly. 4-cylinder and V6 engines, they are okay, but not as powerful as V8s, and they can go out 300,000, 400, 500,000 kilometers if you maintain them properly. But my favorite engines for W210s are V8s. V8 starts from 4.3. It generated 275 brake horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. 0 to 100 km happened in 6.8 seconds. Unfortunately, W210 never had E500, so it was then IMG versions immediately after the 430. The E50 AMG had 5-liter V8 that generated 347 brake horsepower, 480 Nm of torque, and 0 to 100 km happened in 6.2 seconds. Then we had E55 with 5.5-liter V8, had about same brake horsepower as the 5-liter, but it had much more torque, so 530 Nm, and 0 to 100 happened in 5.8 seconds, and that engine was more beefier, more aggressive. And this is the most popular engine on W210 V8s. Then we have two types of E60 AMG. The first variant had 6-liter V8 engine that generated 380 brake horsepower and 580 Nm of torque. 0 to 100 km happened in 5.3 seconds. And another engine that was also very rare is 6.3 natural aspirated V8 that generated 400 brake horsepower and 616 Nm of torque. 0 to 100 km happened in 5 seconds. And if you find E60, either the 6-liter or 6.3, you are a very lucky person. Now we'll give some numbers, the weight of each E-class, so W124, W210 and W11, and all of them are E320. W124 weight is 1,489 kilograms, W210 1,600 kilograms, and W211 1,614 kilograms. But even W11 was slightly heavier than W210. W210 felt much lighter. That was very strange for me when I first time drove it. After so many years, W210 still often appears on public roads and gives smiles to Mercedes lovers. It is a car for everyday use and for luxurious driving from point A to point B. You enjoy driving it every day. If you decide to buy W210, I recommend to buy facelift version. There is less rust, and also try to find V8 engines. The 4-cylinder and V6 are, it's okay, but it's not fun. Try to find W210 with the service history and V8 engine, and keep $3,000-4,000 just in case for sudden rainy day. But W210 is not expensive to maintain, and the parts are not so expensive and pretty easy to find even today. Now let's talk about W211. Development of W211 took 4 years and 2 billion euros, and that's a crazy number. That's twice what Mercedes spent on W140. W211 was a completely different car from W210. It looked massive compared to W210. It had juicy curves and looked more bubbly. And it was 20 kilograms lighter, as I said before, but W211 felt like a tank. It shared its platform with huge American cars such as Chrysler 300 and Dodge Charger. W211 had no problems with rust and had even more luxurious features than W210. But maintaining W211 is more complicated and more expensive than W210. Problems with W211 are air suspension, and sometimes it had problems with the gearbox if you drove it not too carefully without warming up the gearbox, and basically just common issues with maintaining the car. But if one of your air suspension broke down, it is better to change all 4 air suspensions and not to buy OEM Mercedes air suspensions, because from the factory they were not developed right. There are aftermarket companies that specialize in Mercedes air suspension, and they give 10 years warranty on their product. You can Google them, there are like 10-15 companies like that. So better buy those than the OEM parts. In my experience, V8 W211 are more fun and more smooth and more luxurious car for a real Mercedes lover. My favorite V8s in W211 are 5.5 naturally aspirated V8 M273 that generated 388 brake horsepower. That engine was very fast, very responsive, didn't need much attention, and I loved it. Also, legendary M113, the 5-liter V8, is more reliable than M273. It's even more reliable than wood-burning stove, as Jeremy Clarkson loves to say. And weirdly, also one of my favorite engines is not so reliable, but the most fun that it can give you from all the V8s that W211 had is M156, the 6.3 naturally aspirated V8. I call it a racing engine. It generated 514 brake horsepower, leaked cooling everywhere. It was so strong that it broke its own bolts and blew up in the face of the owner. And still, I love this engine. The strange thing is about the W211 that every V8 works perfect in this car. It feels like a luxurious ship, even with the 6.3 engine. Yes, it will try to kill you every second when you floor it, but you know, the car still feels a little bit fat, and when you drive it, you're not in a hurry, you feel very calm. Your heartbeat is slower and your mind is always relaxed. You think about something luxurious and nice. Even when you drive it fast, you feel the extra weight of the car, but you know, it's manageable weight, but still you do feel it. And W211 just puts a huge smile on my face. I think you can feel it in my voice that I have a special warm place for those vehicles. And W210 feels much lighter. It's a bridge between 80s Mercedes and 2000 Mercedes, and you can feel it when you just sit in it. It is very spacious, practical, and it's always fun to drive. Driving it it's an occasion, it's not a chore. It's not something that you need to go. You just sit on it and you enjoy the road. You feel great behind the wheel. Your soul feels great and you have this like weird smile. You don't care that this car is rusty and very old and what people think about. You just enjoy the process of driving it. When you drive it very fast in the V8 versions, it's very predictable. It's not as sharp as W211, but it feels lighter. It feels more like a butterfly with 4 doors and a German heavy body. You can feel that suspension is less complicated and more depends on you than on itself when you drive it like a lunatic. So for me, the choice between two Mercedes on a budget will be W210, because W211 will eventually rob me with this air suspension and the maintenance of it is more expensive than W210. Nevertheless, if I had a lot of money to spend on maintaining Mercedes, I would buy W211 6.3 V8. But W210 V8s are also very good and they will not rob your wallet as much as W211. I noticed that many people that watch my channel, they usually are not subscribed, and it's very creepy. So please stop being creepy and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my other videos about Mercedes, link is below in the description. Take care and bye bye.